On Tuesday, July 9th, the BBC World Questions program was hosted in Mongolia, bringing a panel of leading political figures to debate the country's most pressing issues in Ulaanbaatar. The event was chaired by BBC correspondent Johnny Diamond at the Genghis Khan Museum, providing a platform for the public to engage directly with their leaders.
The event started at 7:30 p.m. with the BBC team gathering questions from attendants. Johnny Diamond engaged with the audience, facilitating a dynamic discussion. We discussed with Johnny his expectations from this program.
When you look at Mongolia, you see the stories, the challenges, the opportunities here. Obviously, they're fascinating in themselves, but they're also really interesting for the rest of the world. The environment, development, the gap between rich and poor, how an emerging democracy governs itself. All of these things are interesting for Mongolia itself, but they're also world stories, and we are world questions and world answers. So we hope that a country like Mongolia that perhaps does not get the attention it normally gets deserves more attention and can tell the world a few answers to the problems that faces everybody. No, not really. I know that there's been an election here, but we try to take a slightly longer view with World Questions. It's great that we've come here just after the election and the government is still being formed and all those things are in play. But we want to try and tell the story and stories of Mongolia over the last few years and decades, as well as looking forward to the next few years and decades. So it's not about the election, it's not about the big festival, it's about the country and its story.
Mongolia, historically the center of an empire stretching from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe, is now the world's largest landlocked country, situated between the Russian Federation and China. Despite its rich untapped mineral resources and subsequent economic growth, Mongolia faces significant challenges such as pollution, corruption, inequality, and questions about democratic values, all of which were highlighted in the recent general elections.
Look, I don't know. We'll find out when the show and the debate happen tonight. And I can't stress enough, this is about the audience. It's great that we have the panel that we have. It's great that the politicians have come on and given us their time, and we're really grateful. But the questions come from the audience, the opinions come from the audience, the reaction comes from the audience. So we'll wait to see what they have to say, and of course what the politicians have to say, before we work out what the response has been. It's really important. We cannot just focus on the United States or on France. There are so many different ways of dealing with the problems, the challenges, the opportunities that there are all around the world. There are things that the world can learn from how Mongolia has dealt with its problems and how it faces its challenges. I really believe this. We can't always talk about America and Britain and France and Russia. We have to look at the whole world and tell its stories, the stories of smaller countries as well. There is so much to learn from all the different countries around the world, and there is so much to learn from Mongolia and the way that it faces its problems. What is fascinating, in every country we go to, people think that their problems are unique to them. Maybe their solutions are unique to them. They are not. There are global issues, whether it is pollution, the environment, the challenge of poverty. All of these things, one way or another, are played out around the world. And that is what World Questions is about. It's about asking the questions that are being asked around the world and trying to get answers that can be used around the world as well. I hope that Mongolia gives us debate and answers that will be interesting in Zambia, in South Korea, in London, in New York.
The distinguished panel included Ulaanbaatar, Member of Parliament for the Mongolian People's Party, Ulaanbaatar, Member of Parliament for the Democratic Party, Ulaanbaatar, independent geopolitical analyst and election observer, and Ulaanbaatar, a citizen's representative of the Ulaanbaatar District Council. During the debate, the upcoming parliament elections and the formation of a new joint government emerged as hot topics. These discussions reflected public concerns about governance and political stability in Mongolia. Gwennon Roberts, commissioning editor for the BBC World Service English, expressed excitement about hosting this World Questions program from Mongolia during such a pivotal time. The program promised a dynamic debate fueled by questions from the public. The event was recorded in English in front of a live audience on July 9th. The debate will be broadcast on the BBC World Service English channel on July 13th and will be available online at BBC World Service Radio, on BBC Sounds and most podcast platforms.